Alice had been living with a secret for nearly 20 years. Even after telling her story, she still struggles to find peace.
There's a number of emotions I go through on the daily. A lot of it is like, what was the point of all of this? And yeah, I feel like I constantly have to put in the work to put one foot in front of the other, which is all I actually wanted from this, is to be able to move on and past.
This, she says, is because after finally gathering the courage to lay charges against her alleged rapists, both cases were dismissed. In 1998, Alice attended a well-known high school in Cape Town. She says as a child, she often felt shunned and discarded by other adult figures in her life, until one teacher took particular interest in her, making her feel seen for the first time. By 2000, they were engaging in sexual acts when Alice was 15 years old. At that point, she had no clue what grooming was or that she was being groomed. Dr. Shahida Omar of the Teddy Bear Foundation says disclosure is not a single event, but a process.
Also grooming that we have to take into consideration, where the victims at the time of the actual abuse do not realize that they are subjects or victims of sexual exploitation. And sometimes we find that when victims cannot cope with what has happened, they dissociate themselves from their traumatic experience or memory. So, they're completely separated from themselves and or it's repressed. And as a result, one would find that years after the fact, this victim may then be exposed to certain triggers.
The alleged abuse continued until her matric year, but she managed to block out the memories until 2023. In 2023, a former classmate raised the issue of the alleged sexual assault at their school. More people, also former pupils, then came forward. Alice said hearing these stories triggered her, and only then did she realize what she had been through. And while her exact timelines are vague, she recalls that another teacher at the school also started preying on her. That year, Alice laid charges against the alleged rapists. She got lawyers from legal aid, the matter went to court, and both cases were dismissed. This, despite her saying she had evidence, including witness statements. Alice says her case was handled with no care or concern. She says today, based on her own experience, she has no faith in the criminal justice system.
I'm an adult now, and I'm standing up for the child I was back then. And if I had to do this as a child, I 100% would not have been able to see this through. From the countless changes, delays.
To try and understand why the case was dismissed, Alice applied to get the transcripts from the court. More than a month later, she only received a response from the court after the SABC also applied for those transcripts. But still no transcripts. Candice Lynn Warner, a therapist who often deals with these cases, says Alice's story is not an isolated case.
Taking a restorative approach, we need to become survivor-centered, and we need to ensure that all those stakeholders involved are trauma-informed practitioners or trained within trauma to understand the complexities that these survivors and these victims of sexual offences and rape cases face.
It is a well-known fact that the NPA is working with limited resources, and dealing with cases this old is not easy.
We need to realize that there isn't sufficient specialized skills that are provided. So they are undercapacitated, understaffed, so under-resourced. So it's definitely not tarnishing the reputation of the NPA, but ensuring that they step up. At the end of the day, it's about stepping up and ensuring that they get specialized training and that they obviously have resources at their fingertips in order to do their work effectively and efficiently in this field.
We did reach out to the NPA for a response, but no response has yet been received. Alice says despite the negative outcome, she is proud for finally standing up for herself. But the fallout is she now has to deal with opinions and comments from people trying to discredit her. Omar says this often happens when victims' reputations are tarnished. But Omar says victims have a lot to risk by coming forward, especially because they have more to lose than gain from telling their stories. Abra Barbier, SABC News, Cape Town.